I've heard that God, they would some old timers say, bless God, this morning I woke up and they was taters. Potatoes on the front porch. And so I heard that, and then to a young boy, I didn't have to believe God for finances. My dad and mom made a way. Come on. But then 9 years ago, in full-time ministry, I remember walking into the living room of my mom and dad's house one morning. Every morning, my mom would always fix gravy and biscuits. Sausage and bacon. Oh, yes. And Kentucky steak. Fried bologna. And I remember that if you was in a dead sleep, you get up because you know something's about to turn loose in the kitchen. And I remember I woke up this morning and I walk into the living room. And my dad and mom is standing there. And at that time, we had been traveling full time around from church to church. And some of those churches, bless God, they would starve you out and put you on the road in the worst part of winter and say, tough it out. However you get home, however you get home. And so I walk in the living room and I noticed by looking at my mom, something was wrong. And I look at her and I look at her eyes, and my dad was standing there at the end of the counter. And I said, what's for breakfast, Mom? And she began to weep and cry. And she said, only thing that you have to eat is those half a pack of crackers. Catch us. I'd always heard the old saints talking about God would supply. They told me that. I watched them walk out the house. Shout a God moment. Come on, say a God moment. They walked out the house, and we lived across the road where my grandpa pastored, and he walked in the church in the middle of the day. They shut the door, and I watched as they would go past, as they was walking around the aisles of that church praying. And I looked, and something said, are you going to eat them crackers? And I said, I can't eat them. My dad and mom's praying. I've got to pray. We began to pray, and we began to seek God. We had a revival scheduled that weekend. That was on a Friday. Saturday morning, we had to head out to somewhere in the United States of America. And we go to that church. My God, we had a move of God. People getting saved. Miracles is happening. And at the last morning of that revival, the pastor said, can we have the keys to your van? Sister Darlene, they took our van out. We thought they was going to move it, so we was tearing down our equipment. And as we was getting ready to load up, we go up to the van, and they had this 15-passenger Dodge van that we was traveling at the time, crammed with food, and we told nobody about it. They gave us enough food that for that month, we was able to eat good. Folks back at the church there in Breathitt County. Now, that's not the best part about it was, they said every month, make your way back by this church. We're going to buy you food. And for a year, they supplied the food. Come on now. I'm talking about a God moment that suddenly it shifts and turns things. I come to tell somebody, don't give up. Don't sit down. Don't throw in the towel. But hang on to God, because if you'll stand true to His word, because Emmanuel lives, we expect victory every time. Hey, they may not believe it, but I thank God there's a church that believes in a mighty move of God. When you pray, it will change things. Woo! Shout a God moment.